Okay, you're currently joining our podcast episode in session. I forgot to hit the record button for our video. So if you want the full episode, please check us out on any of the audio podcast apps. But this is our single toughest backpacking day, and Derek just shared his story. So you want to hear Derek's story? I think it's worth it. Go check it out on the audio apps. So let's keep it going, man. So
let's keep it going. I poured my heart out. You did not want to record it. And now it's all about you. It's all about you. What is your story? The limelight is on you. Please.
Okay.
Spotlight.
All right. So this was hard to pick for me because I had a couple to pick from. One was my first backpacking trip ever, so similar to you, and where I was invited along with somebody who also didn't do a great job planning. And then my other one was the one just from a couple years ago when we went to Banff. I had a hard day in Banff.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to tell that story so bad, but I felt like it was going to come across as if I was like blaming somebody and not taking ownership. Even if I took ownership at the end, be like, really, this is all my fault. I still feel like I would have just been a blamer. So I didn't want to do that.
That was really one of your hardest days though?
So it wasn't hard physically. It was hard, like mentally, emotionally, I would say.
Yeah.
Like like my frustration level, like going on backpacking trips for me is the opposite of frustration. Right? Like you're alleviating, like things are melting away, and that did the opposite. And so that's why that was hard for me.
Right.
So, but I'm not going to talk about that. I don't want to start playing the blame game. I'll talk about the first backpacking trip, which was in Yosemite as well as Derek's. And this was like a very remote part of Yosemite, a place called Hetch Hetchy, but we didn't even go to that spot. We went to like a remote access point to get there. And Derek, you've actually been on part of this hike. It was where we had to cross a dam to access the trail. Yeah. Yep. So we went to a spot called Laurel Lake. Yeah. And it was my first backpacking trip. Now, in the guy's defense that was planning this, he was young and he was way more experienced than me because my first trip, but he still wasn't all that experienced. And so really it was just kind of like we're bumbling around. Okay. So I was probably, I don't know, like 20 years old, and I had basic gear, probably better gear than the story that Derek shared for sure, but still not like the best gear. And my one group contribution to the trip was I had a pure water filter that I had never tried out before and didn't really know how to use, and nobody knew how to use it. But that was the only. Is
that the big cumbersome one? The big heavy one?
No, if I had that one, I'd been fine. We had one. It was like
that's the Catadine. That's Catadine. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but Catadine bought pure, so it's the same thing.
Okay, same thing.
Yeah. Newsflash, that happened like 20 years ago. Okay, anyway, So anyway, I had one that was like you screw it onto the top of your Nalgene bottle, and then so it like fits, and then you just kind of pump it through, and it has like the hose that goes into the water. It has a little floater, and then it has like a, I don't know, a more porous, spongy thing which will sift out the grit. And I didn't know the difference between those two things, and so we thought that the floater thing was the porous thing trying to sift out the grit. So we're trying to send water through this thick foam in the hole in the tube, and it's just not going in. So it's like we're pumping at 1 liter an hour at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. We eventually figured it out, but it was like we were all out of water and we weren't getting water. Basically, was the first challenge. All right. Yeah. So not knowing how to wear our packs, like we're pretty fatigued to get to camp. It wasn't even that far. I want to say it was only like 8 miles to camp. We get to the lake, and this is a common backpacking spot, which if you go to a national park and you end up in a common backpacking spot, that's not good because that's where the bears go. So we arrived, and it's still evening, and there's 3 bears milling about where we're about to set up our camp. Like we're putting our tent down right where the bears are, literally. That's not good either. So you're gonna love it. So we put the tent down, and then we have our dinner, and then the guy that's in charge is like, all right, we got to hang our food because this is before bear canisters were required in Yosemite. Oh, and I was like, okay, great. We brought, we didn't even bring like paracord. We brought like climbing rope.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So we have our tent between 2 trees. We have 3 bags of food. 1 bag is up one tree, right on the trunk. 1 bag's up the other tree. 1 bag is on a rope between the trees hanging above our tent. How amazing is that?
Oh, that's genius. Right above your tent.
Any predictions?
Yeah. I think the bears had some fun with that. So I'm gonna let you tell it, but I think they had some fun with that.
All right. So anyway, middle of the night, the bear climbs, like wakes us up, starts chomping on our food, basically gets through about like 70% of our food before we can like completely shoo it off. But we don't bail on the trip. We finish the trip having to ration food.
That sounds like a great trip.
Yeah.
Like
so that's my worst single day. All right. Okay, Derek, give me your advice. What should I have done differently?
I mean, so much. I don't know. I mean, that's hard, dude. I think it's like your leader is not that experienced. I think that was, and you don't know that though, right? So that's probably like an unknown pitfall right there. I would imagine, but all the things. I mean, I was just more concerned. You said your hardest day was when you hiked 8 miles. Mine was 16. So. I don't know if we want to just make a note of that.
Yeah, you're way stronger than me. Like you're way better than me.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. That's all I care about. Just okay. No, but overall, like when you have a bear eat 70% of your food and then you're rationing food out, I think at that moment I would have been like, let's call this thing. It's gonna be miserable.
I know.
Right? Like we're gonna ration food for days. Like ugh, like that. I don't think that would fly. Like if that happened today on a trip with you, me, Rocky Knowlton, or whoever else is going, and how much Rocky eats, how much I eat, we all eat a lot. And then like, let's just say we had like 3 meals to split for like 4 days.
Right.
I don't think we're going to, I'd be like, let's just redo this or something. I don't know. That'd be hard.
Yeah. You're saying like
lack of food is hard.
You're more on the quitting side.
I'm more on the understand that it's very, I mean, are you putting yourself in danger at that point? Like if we're going really far, if we got uphill, we have 3 meals. It's like, let's just be stupid.
We're going that far. It's just like, it's trip number 1. It's
that's right. Yeah. It was only 8 miles. So, I mean, in your case, I would have kept going, but I don't know, depending on how much you have left, if it's day 1 and you get attacked by bears and it eats like most of your food and you're going over like, I don't know, let's say we were doing like Maroon Bells and you're going over like 3 more passes. Are you stopping the trip? Because that's not a lot of food for a lot of work. So to me, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think, your lack of creativity with how to overcome that is a little disturbing. So we can talk about that if you want
to. I mean, I guess we could go hunt. We could hunt. I have a buck.
I did the Jamir Trail running out of food and made it. So let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. Like, how do you get food while you're already on the trail?
How amazing were you? Let's hear about it. Let's go.
Okay. No, I'm going to put it in your court. Don't put it. Have you ever been on the trail without something that you wanted and you were able to obtain it while you were on the trail? Has that ever happened?
I know you have an example in your head. I'm going to say yes.
I do. Okay. It happened last summer. Literally happened last summer. You forgot to bring something and you were able to get it on the trail.
I'm not going to rehash that story, but
why not?
That's not what I'm talking. My point is like, you're talking about, I forgot one thing. And I got it on the trail, or I borrowed it, or I found it, or whatever. I'm talking about a bear eating or something happening to, let's say you fall in the river and all your food gets washed away, or you fall somewhere. I don't know.
Just your food. The food falls out of your backpack.
Just your food. That's it. Even though it's sealed, up in those watertight freeze-dried packages. No, but let's say the bear gets your food and like 80% gone. That's huge. That's a huge deal. Yeah. It's not like, I forgot my half toothbrush. That's also a tent stake. It's not like I forgot that. It's my food. Okay. So I don't know. I think
the poop hits the fan, who would you rather go with, folks? Derek, who likes to give up, or Carl, who's going to try to figure out a solution to the problems while on the trail? That's my question.
Who would you rather go with? Somebody who likes a challenge and likes to be creative, but also understands when it's too dangerous, or Carl, who will just throw caution to the wind and he'll slip off a cliff and have to get helicoptered out, as he did on one of his other trips. I thought that would be your toughest day.
All that's true.
I thought that would be your toughest day. Your toughest day wasn't falling off a cliff and getting helicoptered out?
That was like day hikes. I didn't know if I can count that.
That was day hikes. That's still a toughest day. It's in the word. It's in the phrase. Day hike. Like, toughest
you're facing death. You're like, you think you're gonna die. Yeah. Or you're out of food. I think out of food's kind of tougher. What
Oh my gosh, dude.
Just kidding.
Come on. That would easily be my toughest day. That would be the scariest thing ever if you're slipping up a cliff. Anyway, that's a good story though.
So solutions to this issue, like Captain Obvious, try your yard ahead of time. I was new and I should have known to do that, but I didn't. And then the other, I guess, Captain Obvious situation. This isn't Captain Obvious. Okay, this is kind of this is a good tip right here, especially if you're going to like the Sierras and you're like, I don't want to arrive in camp where there's bears. So what we've done since then, and this is why Derek doesn't have a significant bear encounter where he's like having to battle the bear for his food, is that we do not camp at the most epic spots in Yosemite. We will camp at great spots, don't get me wrong, but they're not the most popular spots because the bears know to go to the most popular spots. So we'll go to less popular spots and then we will not have a problem with the bear.
But we don't like to be around all the other people anyway. So
correct.
Is it? I mean, maybe it's more popular, but it's also easier, probably a lot of them to get to than where we're going.
Right.
So here's a question for you though. If you're rationing your food on this trip,
you're still stuck on this.
I need to mentally walk through it. And I think it's going to be helpful for the B&B to understand what you're rationing food on this trip after the bears attack the food. And you had a few days left. You're rationing food.
They haven't eaten it. They attacked the food.
When it comes to like dinner time, lunchtime, are you like, okay, like what was your feeling? Are you feeling like this is horrible? Like I got 3 crackers and a slice of cheese. And when you're used to like a big old, freeze dried chili mac with beef or whatever you eat.
Right.
I mean, aren't you just like this? What am I doing right now? Is there any point where you're like, what am I doing? Is this worth the crackers and cheese? Or
so
not?
Again, I'm young and I'm not the leader. So I'm kind of following along, like trusting the leader, probably blindly trusting this guy, right?
That's fair. Fair.
Yeah. And it's kind of what you were doing on your trip is you were just like, all right, I guess I got to go. Even though this seems like not a good plan to go 18 miles uphill, you still went along with it because you don't know any better.
Yeah. I don't know any better. That's true.
Yeah. And so, especially when you're young, like, we were in our 20s for both these trips. So I don't know. The other thing too, though, is that what strangely survived were the freeze-dried meals. And this is what makes me suspect about all these facts about how good bears can smell. I'm not saying they can't smell good, but they're like, a bear can smell a can of Coke frozen in the ice in Antarctica from 17,000 miles away. Like, they have these weird facts. I'm like, how do you test that? How do you know that? Because anytime I've stashed freeze-dried food, like separate from my normal food, the bear's never gone after that. I don't think they can smell it. It's my theory. I don't have proof.
You don't think so? Yeah, it's sealed up good enough.
Correct.
I mean, it wouldn't be
what survived. That's what survived. And so we had the dinners. It was like everything else we didn't have.
That's kind of an important detail of the story. The best food survived. So there you go.
I don't know if it's the best. It was just the dinners, right? Like,
that's the best. Right? Everybody loves the dinner. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but like after a long day of hiking, you get to that dinner and you're like, yes, you're excited. Right. Put the feet up by the fire, burn a sock or a shoe or whatever, and you're good to go.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you breaking news. Jetboil has released a new stove. Here for a discussion about it is one of their engineers. Thank you to Jetboil engineer Mike. All right, I am here with a representative from Jetboil, Mike Hebert. How's it going today, sir?
It's going great, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's our pleasure. We've been a fan of Jetboil on the show for a long time now. And I was told that you're like a Jetboil engineer. Like what kind of engineer is that?
Yeah, man. So mechanical engineering is what I went to school for.
Okay.
But as a Jetboil engineer, being kind of a small company, it's design engineer, test engineer, project engineer, mechanical engineer, kind of all these things.
All that.
Bunched into one. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like fire engineer or
fire engineer. Yeah, I don't know if there's any fire engineers, but yeah, combustion engineer. Maybe you make it sound fancy.
That sounds more professional. Yeah. I wish I would have said that one. Okay.
We'll go with that. I like that.
Yeah. So one of the most popular Jetboil stoves is the Jetboil Flash, and that's been out for a while now. And my wife actually won't go backpacking unless I bring it. And she's a big fan, but you have an updated version. So it's the Jetboil Flash 1.0. That's the name of it, correct?
1.0 liter. Yep.
1.0 liter. All right. So
we wanted to add the capacity to the name of the product. So that's kind of the differentiator of the product name.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So it's updated. What is new about the new Jetboil?
So we kind of overhauled a lot of the ways that you like interact in our kind of, touching, handling, starting, igniting, locking, unlocking the product, just to make an overall much better and easier product experience. And the biggest thing, the biggest kind of change that you'll see in there is the control knob in the ignition is kind of like completely rethought and very new for a backpacking style stove. So typically you'd see, there's like a wire bail, and if there's a piezo ignition, there's a separate button. And the challenge is you have all these rotations, and then you have to get the timing right in the sequence. There might be kind of a poof if you let out too much gas, or maybe you didn't open the valve enough. So some people complain. It's not a thing that like we necessarily hear people complain, but like if you observe people, it's something you can see them like silently struggle with, or maybe be a little uncertain with.
Suffer in silence.
And then there's fire involved, right? So it's a little intimidating.
Right.
So we looked at a lot of like larger format stoves that have this, ignition, or the ignition's built into a knob that clearly has indicators on it. You know where everything is. Like here's high, here's low, here's where it ignites. And we were like, well, how do we get that sort of just like super easy visual functionality down into like a backpacking stove control? So that was the challenge we undertook, and kind of what drove us to do this. The trick of it was, fitting a mechanism in there that turns the rotation of this knob into a linear actuation on a, igniter that's buried. We had to bury everything and keep it this really small, compact thing. We kept our weight exactly the same on our flash system. We didn't allow ourselves to go up at all there. So that's really the one of the biggest things in there that you'll just immediately notice is very different from anything you've seen. We actually have a patent pending on the system that's in there to achieve this.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
And you got the stove in the background, is that right? I can see that.
Yeah. Yep. So I've got one there. I've got one here in my hand. If you're
okay.
If anybody's on the video here.
Okay.
So
you see the rubberized grips. That's the orange part right here for the easy touch.
Yep.
And then you get the knob that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and as you're turning it, it's going to click like the piezo lighter. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. There we go. Yep.
Okay.
So it actually activates the piezo in the knob. So it's one motion, and it's just turn, click, and you're running.
Okay. So one of the complaints or issues with the old one was that the old piezo lighter, like that was more of like a push button, and like that's something that would eventually fail. And one of the solutions was to kind of like I don't know what that piece is called, that like, where the flint hits the fuel, but you just had to like move it towards the fuel. So that was one solution. But sometimes that little click that you were just making, that sound, that push button, that something would like get gunked up, whether it's sand or something, and that wouldn't even click anymore. So, but this is different though. This is not a push button. This is like a switch. Is this?
Yep.
Do you expect this to kind of have better, like a longer life, essentially?
Yeah, definitely. And the first thing you touched on is like, it's the most common failure that happens with a built-in igniter is the electrode on top of the burner. The gap will change, and they're just super easy to either snag and pull up, or you bump it on something and it pushes it down. And if it changes that spark gap, you know what happens in your car, the spark plugs erode and it changes the gap just a little bit, right? It doesn't work as intended. So in that regard, we've beefed up the pin that's in here significantly. It's a separate piece, and we grew this ceramic encapsulation all around it and on the sides and everything. And the gap is set right where we want it. So this thing is never going to move out of position in any way. So that's going to hold tight. It's not going to corrode or erode over time. It's a much thicker, more robust kind of wire in there. So that's a huge improvement, and we're excited about that because it's just this silly thing that happens all the time. Right. And then as far as the piezo ignition is actually it's buried down inside here against the valve, and we have a mechanism that turns that rotation to press the piezo, but it is more kind of protected from everything inside there and not exposed outside, where if you put it down in the dirt, you're going to directly get sand or something or dirt, against the piezo button. It's basically totally hidden away in there. So we've done a lot to kind of address, anything like that happening with ignition.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. So yeah. And you already mentioned that there's so the Flash 1.0 is the 1 liter. And so I don't know what the next rendition is, but I'm just watching you turn this, the knob, and and I know that you have different versions of Jetboils that you can simmer and stuff, but with the Flash, and I know the Flash is all about boil fast, it's fast boiling, get that water, for drinks or for your dehydrated meals, whatever. But I'm just watching you turn this knob and I'm like, okay, but that seems that should be simmerable. That seems like something where if I turn the knob up, I'm going to have more fuel, turn the knob down, I have less fuel. Is that something we can look forward to, or is that not a thing?
So, what this does not have is it does not have our really advanced simmer valve design in here that we reserved for our kind of cooking intended systems. That being said, I think you'll find the simmer on this newer Flash is definitely refined over prior versions.
Okay.
And the other thing, because we've designed this so that there's less than a rotation of the knob, we can mark out, your low and your high and things like that on here.
Right.
So instead of kind of wondering and going by feel with this wire, you can actually be like, oh, well, if I just go here, I'm going to be at the low setting. That's where it is. So I definitely think there's an improvement there. So, not only how it simmers, but just being able to find that simmer spot and know where you are, kind of in the control zone. I think that's really valuable.
Is this out yet, or when's it coming out? Where can we get it? When can we get it? What's kind of the release on this thing?
So yeah, this is available right now. You can go in stores, buy it online right now.
Okay, so outdoor stores will have it. Mike, did I miss anything?
Yeah, I'll just touch on a couple of things. You mentioned the rubberized grip zone, and that was another thing that we've always had this kind of plastic shroud that you can, is a better handling touch point, but it's never been super clear. And sometimes you see some, like I said, uncertainty almost of if you haven't used it before, it's okay to hold here. And we really wanted to go with something that is very obvious. This is where you hold and handle.
Right.
No questions. Right. Super clear. You hold it here, you're going to be fine. And if it's putting on a fuel can, locking the cook pot, lighting the stove, adjusting the simmer, here's your handling. It's almost like a power tool. It's got that rubberized, brightly colored zone for where you touch it.
Right. It's very obvious. And to me, that was a luxury thing. Cause I don't know that was an issue for me, but what I like is that you're able to add all the other features, but without adding weight to the actual system. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So, otherwise, it's Jetboil, fast, compact, efficient. And, we stuck to everything else that people love about Flash. We still have, the thermochromic sticker that changes color on the side. It's still going to be there.
Right.
We did do, we did a small adjustment on the cook pot that I think is really nice. So previously, when you locked your burner base on, if you forgot, maybe what direction do I go to get it off, you could maybe even tighten it on further or something like that. And we kind of went with the, if you again here on the video.
Yeah.
So we have some icons on there, right? So
okay.
It's home kitchen appliance simplicity right here. Right. It's locked.
It's matched up.
Oh, it's unlocked. I can take it off. Great.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, a number of small enhancements like that kind of across the board to just make this a better experience, but still the same killer Flash system that everybody loves.
Well, Mike, thanks for all you do for the outdoor industry and for helping backpackers get out there and enjoy their meals and their hot drinks and all that. Like I said, we love Jetboil, and Excited to check out the Jetboil Flash 1.0. Now available. Now with me is Gear News correspondent Tupperware Mike. How's it going today, my friend?
It's going good, man. Thanks for letting me check out the new Jetboil.
That's right, Jetboil. It's right here. I got it in my hand, and this is the new Flash. All right, what like impressions, upgrades, thoughts? What you got?
Yeah, so this new Flash 1.0 liter, it's kind of an unusual name for it, but I like it. I like the look of the design. I like the weight. I like how fast it still boils. It boils a little bit slower than the previous Flash, but you know, it says 120 seconds per 16 ounces. The other one boils it at 100 seconds at 16 ounces. I don't think that's a big deal. We can wait 20 seconds longer for 16 ounces of fluid.
Yeah, I should have asked that. I don't think I noticed that. I should have asked the engineer why that was, but that's an interesting point for sure.
But overall, I like it. I like their new design. It looks good. It's got places where you can pick the thing up. Like you're not burning your hands anymore. I don't know if you've ever burned your hands on the old Jetboil, but it's got little grips at the bottom. I really like those. I like the new knob. The new igniter is really cool, man. Yes, it's just a turn knob. It's no longer a push button knob. For those of you listening on audio podcast, Carl's going to break it before he even gets to use it.
I'm holding it up as Mike's talking on YouTube, and I'm just twisting the knob. That's right.
I was expecting that thing to pop off while you're twisting it.
Right.
No, that still has the feet. Man, what is the deal with the feet? The plastic
I asked
feet.
him about that. People use this. This is used, but I would say 50% of the folks out there actually use the fuel stabilizer. This does serve a dual purpose this time. So you can house it inside the stove, and then it provides like a little buffer between this and the bottom of the stove, so it's not scratching up the bottom of your pot. So that's nice. I don't bring it though, and I don't think you do either, right?
No, I don't. But I like that design that they made, because my Jetboils, one of the common things that happens, you put your fuel can at the bottom and it connects with the cup, and then it rusts right there around that ring, right? So that's going to eliminate that, right?
It rusts because it's still wet is the issue. You have to completely dry off your fuel can before you put it inside the pot.
Who's got time to do that? I mean, come on.
Apparently not you.
No. Okay. Maybe that's my problem. But I like that. So that little stand's going to act as a blocker. You put that thing in first.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yep. And yeah, you can fit your fuel canister in there if you've got one of the smaller ones. So yeah, it's got some, it's kind of like, it's got some updated features, and it's got also had, he mentioned this little, this housing right here for where I don't know what you call it, the pin where, the flint connects and it lights your stove on fire essentially. And that's stable. So that's nice.
Yeah. That thing bends pretty often, like you were saying. So I'm glad that they did that. I wonder if it's easily replaceable though, if that piezo goes out.
I mean, they're anticipating that this is going to stay put, unless you're like trying to damage the stove. It's going to stay put for a very long time. So
yeah, good. I'm looking forward to trying them out. I didn't see a price on them. Did he give you a price?
I looked it up, and so they're retailing for right around the same cost as the old Flash at I think I got it at $130.
Okay.
Retail.
I noticed they don't have any old Flashes on their website anymore. They took them all off. They got the 1.0 liters.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that you could find out what they did with all the backstock and we could get them for a discounted price and sell them?
You can get them for a discounted price. This is like how the world works, right? When you come out with a new product, all that old stuff goes on clearance. And so at your outdoor store, the old one's on clearance. I don't think I would buy the old one though. I did see at REI, it was going for, I think it was like $100, something like that. But I think that the upgrades make it worth you getting the new one, because the push button igniter, that works for a while, but that's been a problem for years. And the same thing with this little piece they fixed. I think it's worth spending the extra money and not having those problems. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It looks like a good beefy design too. And I'm a huge fan of Jetboil. Yeah, I tried the MSR, the Pocket Rocket. I tried it on one of our last Patreon trips. And I don't know about you, but I've got a ton of half empty cans laying around my house just from all the weeks that I've done, or the backpacking trips that I've done. Well, with the Jetboil, I've always just grabbed one of them and I shake it. It's, near half empty, whatever. I know it's going to last me with that Jetboil. But with the MSR, I think we went through 2 or 3 of those cans. It was,
you ran out of fuel.
It was cold. It was windy. It was rainy. And geez, I didn't expect to run out of fuel. And I don't want to be running out of fuel in the backcountry. So I don't know.
Right.
Some of those guys do reviews on those stoves and they really love them. They don't use as much fuel as I do. I don't know what the deal is, but
there's a place for them. I think on the shorter trips, or if you're going solo or you're self-contained, I think that there's definitely a place for this. I typically bring the Jetboil more for group trips or if my wife is going, because I want to, heat up water fast and hit as many people as possible. The only other thought I had is I think that these fixes are very well thought out, and I think they address some of the problems that Jetboil has had over the years. And these aren't major problems. Like I've had stoves where the PA is that it stops working, and they give great customer service, but those problems have been around for a while. And so I guess my response is it's about dang time they upgraded the stuff. So thank you for doing that. I'm surprised it took that long, but it's here. It made it. So that's my other thought.
That's good. It's good. I like it. Okay, so since you said this is group gear, when we go on our Catalina trip, I get to carry the feet, and you can carry the rest of it. Can that be my piece of group gear?
So that was our news flash. Thank you to news correspondent, gear expert Tupperware Mike. Now back to the podcast. After this, the trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Rowan uses rock-solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie-cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure.
All right, we got some trivia. We're going to see how tough you are with this tough trivia. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. According to Trail and Summit, the toughest trail in the world, the most difficult, toughest trail is it the Kilimanjaro in Tasmania, the Snowman Trek in Bhutan, is it the Three Passes Trek and Everest Base Camp? Or is it, I'm going to say this wrong, so I'm going to just pull it up quick. Or is it the Kokoda Track in Papua New Guinea? Which is the toughest rated according to Trail and Summit?
What's Trail and Summit, out of curiosity?
Oh my, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is what happens, folks, is I research these things on websites.
Sorry, ask a question.
And then he doubts the validity of the website. I don't know.
I'm just asking. What? Is this a fake magazine or what is this?
It's a website called Trail and Summit. Go ahead and Google it again, because that's what you do when you're insecure. You're going to look up the answer.
Is this owned by Section Hiker?
There's no Google. To put your fingers off the keyboard. Answer the question. Jeez.
All right. Well, I think Kilimanjaro is relatively easy from what I gather, because you have porters and stuff. I have no idea about Papua New Guinea. Snowman Trek sounds like it's in a bunch of snow, but so is the Everest Base Camp. So I guess I'll go Snowman Trek, just guessing.
Snowman Trek by a lot of people is considered the hardest. On this website, it was not. It was the Three Passes Trek Everest Base Camp. So that is incorrect. But the Snowman one was considered, all of these are extremely challenging, but your Googling was not quick enough, my friend. Sorry. Okay. Number two. Number two. I'm very calm and lucid. The diamond is the toughest mineral in the world. What's second? What is second, though? Is it? Are you ready? Let's see how tough you are. And I'm going to give you the most. No, I'm going to give you the most scale of hardness as well for each mineral here. Okay. Is it the Stishovite? 9. Is it the? I'll give you the Mo's after I'm done. Actually, that would give it away.
It's amazing that I won't know the answer to this question. This is amazing. How could I not know this?
I mean, come on, dude. You're a teacher. You figure this out. Stishovite? Is it moissanite? Is it tungsten? Is it tungsten? Or is it topaz?
Oh my gosh. For those new to the show, welcome to Derek's Trivia, where he asks questions you would not possibly know the answer to. He doesn't even know the answer. He can't even pronounce his own answers. He can't even do it.
I did. Stishovite, moissanite, tungsten, and topaz. Very simple. Very obvious.
I got no idea. How do I know?
This is why it's trivia, dude. Is that what is that what people say when they go on Jeopardy? Like, congratulations! I don't know any of these. This is crazy.
No, they know the answers. That's why they're always ringing in.
They don't know the answers. That's why they get stuff wrong. What do you mean?
Think that they don't know most of the answers on Jeopardy?
I didn't say I don't.
Most questions go unanswered on Jeopardy. Is what you're saying?
I don't think that they don't know most. I'm saying that there are people who don't know a lot on that show.
Okay.
And they miss a lot, but they still go on the show.
Okay.
Because they're trying. And what you're not doing
is amazing.
And what you're not doing right now is you're not trying. You're making excuses
I'll go
and Googling websites.
I have no idea. Tungsten.
No, it is Stishovite with a Mohs of 9.5. Stishovite. That's 0 for 2. People, he gets like this when he knows he's going to lose trivia. He just lost it again. He starts Googling because he's insecure and he knows that I have yet to fail a trivia this year.
Again, your trivia is amazing. Keep going.
Last question. Okay, we'll dumb it down for you. Okay.
I want the real Derek question. What is it?
This is it. What is the toughest?
Dumb it down. Real question.
What is considered? But this is a website called the Top 10s. They do top 10s on everything. You want to Google it? You can. Feel free. What is the toughest land animal considered by the top 10s? Is it the honey badger?
By what criteria? Toughest, like it's hard to
kill? I will explain it once you guess it. I'm not going to give you all this free information.
It's not free. It's a vague question that does not is it tough, like hard to kill? Is it tough?
Maybe I'll just mark it. I'll just mark it wrong here. It's for you to kind of determine. You don't think that you give me wait. You're telling me you don't give me ridiculous trivia questions that I have to formulate and process in my mind and go through answers with no information from you? Hey,
correct.
Let's go through many of the questions that you just threw out grams at me, or you threw out some absurd thing where I have to calculate junk in my mind that makes no sense. I'm gonna give you this question. It's about an animal. It's really easy. Okay. There's 4 animals. What is considered the toughest animal? Is it the honey badger? Is it the hippo? Is it the rhino or the lion?
I mean, again, not knowing the criteria, I like the toughest. So the lion would be
okay. I'll give you some information. If some of these animals face off, who do you think would be considered the toughest? If some of these animals face off.
Okay. The hippo.
Incorrect. Even though it is considered the most aggressive animal, it's actually the honey badger because the honey. You're like, that doesn't make sense. I thought you would guess that actually. It is.
So you're saying that the honey badger faces off against the hippo?
Why?
Honey badger's winning. It's gonna win.
Incorrect. Carl is wrong. The honey badger cannot defeat the hippo. No, I was saying the honey badger.
What he said is if they faced off, which one's the toughest?
If they face off,
that's why I said the hippo.
No, it's not. It's not the hippo. They rank it as the honey badger because the honey badger is immune to knives, teeth, can also take snake venom, and it's whatever. And it stands up to lions and big cats no big problem. So it's tough because nothing gets in their way is what they say. Okay. So there you go. So
if you feel like Derek's
0-3
trivia was amazing and rational, then please let us know. Derek needs the encouragement.
If you think that those were questions that you could formulate an answer because you're a grown man that went to college and can think for himself, let's just see what Carl, how many more excuses can Carl come up with when he gets a question he doesn't like? And then we're seeing it right here. So,
ladies, I'd like to apologize on behalf of Derek. Derek thinks only guys listen to the podcast.
0-for-3. 0-for-3. I thought you would actually say honey badger because it was the smallest, most ridiculous animal compared to these other 3 monsters, but you didn't really do that.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of obvious, but.
All right, I got some tidbits for you. So,
okay.
Special thanks. We have another Patreon supporter, Kyle from Missouri, who has dropped a ton of weight, hiking, backpacking. He's getting out there on the trail, and he's trying to figure out I think he has figured out the best setup for the backpacking CPAP machine. But I think
backpacking
he said
CPAP.
that Yeah. And there's some that are out there, but they're stinking expensive. And I think he said it added I think he tried to get the best ultralight version, but it still added 3 to 5 pounds to his pack. Ooh. So if you know of a good setup that might be feasible, let us know, because that's definitely an issue. Dixie was on our show last year talking about that, about how she has to bring a CPAP machine. And I know that, you can't get good sleep in the wild, and it's tough to tackle that next day. So
yeah,
it's tough to tackle. That might make it one of your hardest days on the trail if you're not sleeping well. So
definitely. I should have had that lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Bad sleep.
So Kyle, thanks for supporting the B&B podcast. Patreon supporters keep us going, keeps the show coming back at you every single week. So thank you so much. And then we had an episode with Shug out, I think it was I don't know, a month ago. And we made this comment about I don't forget. We said something about can you tell the direction an animal is traveling based on their scat? What do you think, Derek?
I think that could be useful. I can see the passion behind it, but what's I don't know. What are we talking about here? Scat? Passion for scat? Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're not talking about that at all, but I appreciate your answer there. You want to repeat the question?
Sure. Go ahead. Carl Mandel.
Can you tell a direction an animal is traveling?
From scat. I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to say yes.
Russell on YouTube said yes. He said that what the tapered part of the scat tells you the direction that it's traveling. And I would say
tapered.
I would imagine that that's true a lot of the time, but if an animal's in the middle of scatting and something scares it, it's not going to keep going the same direction. I could kind of jump off a different direction, right?
If something scares it mid poop?
At the end of the poop or mid poop, yeah.
I could see that. I think that's probably more of an outlier, though, right? I'm more thinking
those animals are skittish, man. They're jumping around all over the place. There's marmots and squirrels and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. So you're gonna look at the direction of the tapered poo because that's the last poo that came out. What about road apples? Do they taper? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Or they're just always on the trail.
Bear poop is just a pile, so I don't know if that's
pile of berries or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard to I would think that's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But for the smaller animals that have normal looking-ish poop, then yeah, I would say yeah.
If you're a tracker out there and have more information about this, Derek's all in now. He's interested.
I'm all in, and I want detailed descriptions. Carl, you can provide Carl the pictures, and then he can tell me, so I don't have to look at it. Okay, there we go.
That's all I got, my friend.
That's all I got, guys. Thanks again for tuning in with us and hearing some stories. Sorry, Carl screwed the episode up and only recorded half of it on YouTube. I have no control over that. He likes to hit the button on things as well as other things in life. He likes to hit buttons on things, including my own patience. If you have friends that cannot answer tough but basic questions, Carl might be their name. We will see you next time.
Around the world.